Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing for Final Girls, the solo horror survival game. This is the expansion Slaughter in the Groves, which will bring us the new killer, Inkanyamba, the Avenger, and featuring the Sacred Groves location. So yeah, like all the sets in these, you of course have to have the core set to play them. Then you can mix and match any of the expansions, any of the killers with any different location. So we're gonna go over both of these. So we will have our killer board, which we'll look at this a little bit more in a second. We're just gonna go through the components with our Sacred Groves location. Which again are always really cool because they're magnetic to the box. So one snaps on one side, one snaps on the other, so you can easily grab whichever side you want to play as. For the killer side, in the killer side of the box, we have our two final girls. We have some special action cards, which will always have the symbol on the back of the set, so you know which one they belong to. Our terror cards, same thing there. Our dark powers and finale cards. For our killer. And then we are also going to get a special Killer's Wrath card. This is a special thing that the Inkanyamba, I'm going to probably keep pronouncing that wrong, what he gets to do, special mode that he gets to do. Then on the other side, and of course we have our rule book as well, our little rule sheet with special rules and how those all work. Then for the location side, we have our little rule book there. We have a couple of extra cool things here. We have a little token sheet, like we always get the symbol on the back. We get a special tracker for the finale and bloodlust tracker, specifically for the location. So the location actually gets angry and gets to do stuff as well, which ties right into Divine Wrath. So they both use these wrath icons, but each one uses them separately, so you can use them in any other game. We have our deck of events, our setups, our item cards, and of course our location terror cards. Then the final thing we have in there, like always, is we have our two secret envelopes, which will have items specifically for the two final girls if you beat the game. We will go through these at the end of the video, so if you don't want spoilers, I'll make sure I remind you. That way you can skip that part if you don't want to see what these are and you'd like to find them. They are located under the trays, so they're kind of hidden, just so you make sure you grab them and don't throw your tray away early. Alright, so what are we looking at here? Free admission to the Sacred Groves. The term tourist trap will be redefined in this edition to the Final Girls experience as the gods take their vengeance out on you and other unsuspecting victims in a slaughter at the Groves. Choose either of the Final Girls, Barbara, or, I'm going to see if I can get this right, Agale? Like, is it Elga-Aid? No, I'm not sure. Alright, to end the deadly retribution being brought by Inkanyamba, the Avenger. The Inkanyamba draws his rage from the gods themselves and are left unchecked. He and the blood of his victims will all be his left. Can you stop the mass killer before it's too late? So this is definitely, like, each set is kind of based off a horror, either a horror movie or a theme or a trope. This is kind of like, just like your tribal warriors that have sacred rituals, and then like the touristy guys go in and just, oh, we're gonna go play with the statues, or we're gonna like pee in their sacred lawn, or throw our beer in there, or we're gonna make out and have sex in their hidden caves or on their temples. And this is the guy that says, oh, you disrupted our spirit. I also kind of want to say, and it doesn't directly relate, so they'll probably maybe do another set. I also want to say maybe there's a little bit, like, because of the groves and you're hunting around in there, it kind of brought me like a Predator vibe. But again, I think that's just me overlooking a little bit too much. Alright, so we have 4 horror to start with. Starts with 9 health. There's our Bloodlust track. Discard the next 2 terror cards. Well, there's nothing terrible. It does get a little bit more movement. But only 1 dark power. Doesn't up horror at all. That's a little bit different than most other killers. Alright, we have a little bit of backstory on him. Whoever Inkanyamba used to be, or where he came from, no longer matters. He has taken for himself the name of the legendary monster and become the creature of pure wrath. His sole purpose is to exact vengeance on those around him, even if he long forgot the reasons for that vengeance. In order to overcome him, you'll need to manage his ever-rising anger represented by killer wrath. If it blows over, you'll never survive the ensuing onslaught. Ensuing. Alright, let's look at our special setups and rules for this. Set up the game as normal, with the following changes when played with Inkanyamba. Place the Killer Wrath card on player, taking the track marker on level 2, both Atonement action cards into your tableau. Yeah, tracking marker. So just use the little like white ones you use for the items or whatever is how you would do it. Yeah, so let's read to the Killer Wrath and we'll kind of look at cards. So this is whenever instructed to increase or decrease the Killer's Wrath, which is the red arrow, move the tracking marker on the Killer's Wrath up or down the appropriate number of levels. The marker can never be below 1, can never go above 10, so no additional increases or decreases. Whenever you're instructed to unleash Wrath, check the current level of the Killer Wrath card and apply the effects listed there. This may include increasing horror, Inkanyamba, recovering health, Inkanyamba from the killer action, or a combination of things. Some cards will allow you to reduce Wrath, but the primary way is to purchase and play Atonement cards. The Atonement action cards may be played to try and decrease the Killer Wrath for this one, or the Divine Wrath for the Sacred Groves. They're unique. There's an additional success line if you get 3 or more successes on a horror roll. So we'll look at those in just a sec. We have the Killer Wrath card. So yeah, this is kind of a neat extra little thing. So it kind of gets extra abilities that may or may not, that may trigger here and there. So like, increase it by 1, increase it by 2. They just get worse as they go up, the more wrath they get. Horror, then move towards someone. Double horror, move, target, move, attack, gain health, target, move, attack, gain health, gain horror, target, move, attack, double health, horror, target, move, attack, double health, horror, target, move, and double attack. So it just gets worse as it goes along. So one way to get rid of that is we have the 2 action cards. They're the Atonement. So you can add into the tableau. Now you have different options to choose from. Zoom this back down a little bit. So here it goes. Maybe this will appease these goddamn gods once and for all. So it costs 2 to buy. If you get 3 successes, you get a decrease either wrath by 1. I'm sorry, 2-1, not by 1. 2-1. If you get 2, you decrease it by half, round it up. If you get 1, you decrease it by 1. And if you get complete misses, horror goes up and you lose 2 time. Should be very bad. Yeah, so it's kind of, and we'll look at the Divine Wrath when we get to look at the stuff for the second set. Let's look at our survivors. Yeah, it's like Adelaide. I don't know, it's an odd name. I always wish whenever they had names that weren't very common, they would put pronunciations in. Even like Inkanyamba. Like maybe I'm mispronouncing that. Alright, anyhow, she gets plus 2 time, minus horror, plus 2 time, or move 1 space. So she's going to be good at managing her dice, is what she's going to do. If we get her to her ultimate ability, choose one of the following effects, immediate effects. Decrease 1 type of wrath to 1. So this is why it's going to be very specific. If she's playing this story, if she's playing anything else, that obviously that ability won't do anything, unless you're bringing one of those killers to a different location. Or while she's in either the killer or location. Recover all health or take up to 6 cost worth of action cards into your hand. Free conditional victim saved. Reduce horror. Cool. And then we have Barbara. Surprising, I'd say Barbara. She reduces horror, plus 2 time, gains 1 health, take the top of any item card, or move 1 space. So a little all around. She also has 7 health, which is not bad. Her ultimate side, victims will move into the killer's space with you. When you damage an enemy in your space, you may do an additional damage for each victim present. For each additional hit done, a victim is killed. Do not increase bloodlust for victims killed this way. For each additional victim saved, receive time. So this is interesting because she can move she can move victims, she can use it to help move straight through and get around there, or she can basically sacrifice these other people as like kind of like extra shields or whatever, however you want to determine it. She's sacrificing the other victims to put in some extra hits. Maybe they're distracting enough so she can do an extra damage. Or they're running in and hitting him, but they're sacrificing themselves while doing a hit on him. But yeah, if you already increased it to the end, the only thing you're losing out on basically is getting extra time. If you don't need extra time, maybe a great way to let the last couple of victims leave. And since bloodlust doesn't increase, it's not a big deal. The only downside to it is going to be if you lose too many victims, then you start drawing the terror cards and say if there are no victims left, you skip more and then their bloodlust will go up that way. Alright. Then let's look at our finale cards. So, the finale cards all have the same top one on there. This is your general turn. So if Wrath is at 1 or 2, increased by 1, then target one of the 2 people for an attack. So it's always going to try and keep upping your Wrath at least a little bit. At least it's only at 1 or 2. It doesn't just auto increase it by 1. If we flip over our finale abilities, because the terror deck ran out, we have Violent Tantrum, Unleash Wrath, increase the Wrath by 3, then target, attack, and move. Yeah, so that could be very bad depending on where that's at. We need a miracle. Unleash Wrath, target, move, and attack. But says when this is revealed, increase Wrath to 10, and then take up to 6 action cards worth of cards in your hand. Yeah, so this gets revealed, it's going to be at 10, and then when it activates next turn, it's going to unleash immediately, which gives them an extra 2 health, horror, and then a double attack. Plus, when they get a move and attack again. So, if they haven't killed all the victims, they're going to potentially get 3 attacks on you. Then we have Savage Whirlwind. Unleash Wrath, increase Wrath by 1, move, target, and double attack. It's really not too bad, like, compared to the first one, because it increases the Wrath by 3, but you get a single attack. This one does it. The other one just gets you 1 attack, but it doesn't eventually increase it to 10. Alright, then we have the bottom halves, which are our dark powers. We could get Violet Temper. At the end of the upkeep, make a horror roll. With a star, no effect, and no stars, unleash Wrath. So you can potentially unleash Wrath every turn. Feast of Anger. Whenever Wrath increases, Inkanyamba recovers a health. The Rising Drag. Whenever Wrath increases, up your horror. And then the epic dark power, if you want a little bit more of a challenge, we have Dark Lightning. Whenever Inkanyamba kills a victim, kill a second victim in the same or adjacent space available. That just shocks them. That's pretty crazy too. Alright, now let's look at our terror cards. We have the Wrath of Death. Unleash Wrath. Increase Wrath equal to your current health. Target a victim, move, and attack. If there are no victims, target the final girl instead. Wrath of Horror. Unleash Wrath. Increase equal to horror levels. Target victim, move, attack. Wrath of Opportunity. Unleash. Increase Wrath equal number of action cards in your hand. Then target, move, and attack. Wrath of... I think this is Wrath of Defilers. Unleash Wrath. Increase Wrath equal number of victims that have been saved. Target, move, attack. And then the Wrath of Blood. Unleash Wrath equal to the Bloodlust level. And then target, moving, attack. I don't know how, but I've angered him. Target the Foul Girl. Move, double attack. Increase wrath equal to the amount of damage inflicted. Fickle Temper. Make a horror roll. On double success, choose one of the 2 wraths and decrease it by half, rounded up. Single success, choose one, decrease it by 1. None, unleash, and then roll a die and increase it by that number. And then target and attack. Move and attack. Fickle Temper. Make a horror roll. That's the second one we had there? Yeah, sorry, we had 2 of those. We have 4 copies of He's Coming, and there's nothing we can do. If there are no victims on the board, draw next tarot card. Up the horror, target victim, move and attack. They disrespected him, and now he wants their blood. If there are no victims on the board, discard and draw the next tarot card. Target victim, move, double attack. Increase wrath equal number of victims killed this turn. Punishment or mercy. Do the following based on the current level of wrath. 0 to 3 increased by 2 and unleash. 4 to 5 increased by 2. 6 to 9 decreased by half, rounded up. 10 decreased by 1. So if it's low, it's going to go up. If it's high, it's going to go down. Cool. Minor Dark Power. Outrageholic. Every time wrath is increased, increase it by an additional 1. And he gains 3 hit points. And then Boiling Anger. Once for each uptake, make a horror roll. On success, no effect. On a miss, up the wrath by 1 and they gain 2 health. Cool, so that is our killer. Yeah, using this wrath a lot is kind of neat. Surprising effects, because there's not really a whole lot of stuff other than playing them attunement cards. There's not a lot you can really do to prevent or do it, so you might have to spend extra actions atoning instead of try and do it, so at least then when it kicks off, you're not getting hurt as much. But it does add for an extra neat mechanic to the game. Alright, let's take a look at our location. Alright, so here we have our location, the Sacred Groves. We have the Welcome Center, the Lost and Found, and Groundkeeper Sheds for our item cards. Yeah, this is like a very, I think, more of the standard type-ish map, being that it's kind of all in a sort of a circular, like lots of interconnected areas. I mean, there's 4 ways out of the Lost and Found, 4 ways out of here, 4 ways out of there. So lots of different ways you can go from each different things. Although, to note that both of the 2 exits here only have 1 way out, and so there's a Groundkeeper Shed. But we also have a new interesting spot on the board, the red areas. The Burial Ground and the Holy... Oh, sorry, I have 3 of them. Burial Ground, Holy Groves, and the Sacred Shrine. So they're going to have some special things that are going to interact with those symbols. Let's see what they say about the Sacred Grove. We're going to drop this back down here quick. That is Inkanyamba. Alright, we have... The gods are furious over the desecration of their sacred place by idiotic, obnoxious tourists. They forged an unholy pact with the killer, unleashing their wrath upon you and the oblivious victims in an attempt to cleanse the grove with blood and fire. As you fight to survive against the killer's onslaught, you need to simultaneously contend with the fury of the gods, represented by divine wrath. So that's pretty cool, because now we actually have to fight the location as well. We have a special setup. The setup is normal, except for the following changes. Place Divine Wrath card in the play area, tracking marker on level 2. It's the same as the killers. Place the Sacred Grove's Bloodlust track directly to the right of the chosen killer's board, lining up at the bottom of its Bloodlust track. Set the Sacred Grove's finale token to the side. Is only needed if the finale is revealed. Include both atonement actions in the card tab below. Both are included there. So you have to include it in here as well, which is nice. They could have given you 4 of them, so you had 2 for each. But then I wonder if people would have thought they had access to 4 if they played both, and that may have been the confusion. But since they're all in the same box together, it's not that big of a deal. Got to flip one over. So yeah, let's just take a look at, before we get any more of this setup. And the rules, what's in the Divine Wrath and all that. Let's take a look at these cards. So yeah, we're going to have a brand new horror tracker. So it will go like this, and that will line up with the bottom. There. So it doesn't go all the way up to the top. It does stop towards the bottom of it. But it does give you some extra things. So it also keeps its bloodlust as well. So as you kill more things, it gets more angry. It says increase wrath by the number of victims at sacrifice spaces. It gets 2 more, it unleashes its wrath. It's divine wrath. And then it will increase its wrath by the number of victims, unleash wrath, and then do both. So that's kind of cool. So kind of like you have to watch when that stuff might go up because you might have guys in the wrong spot. And then we do have unleash wrath, increase wrath by 1, which then will just... So this will kind of go... They don't really have it listed, but it'll end up going up and included into the addition of their finale cards. So if I grab one of the killer's finale cards. So for example, if I had Savage Whirlwind out, this would just go on there, and it would also add on there to unleash stuff, so that's add some extra on there whenever you release that finale. So that's kind of fun as well. Alright, then we have, and they're just blank on the back, and then we have the Divine Wrath card. So this one says minus time, and then increase wrath, Divine Wrath should be the yellow one, minus time by 2, horror goes up, discard 1 random action card, horror goes down by 4, double horror, discard 1 random action card, horror goes up, time minus 2 times, discard 2 random action cards, minus 5 time, 2 horror, minus 4 time, discard all action cards except atonement, and decrease wrath by the number of cards discarded. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. So like, of course, the killer's wrath is going to be all about doing damage and then eventually healing. The divine wrath is all just be about slowing you down, ups that horror so you have to roll less dice. And eventually it might hit into the bloodlust stuff, which will help them as well. Decreasing your time so you can purchase less cards, do less actions type of stuff. Or it's making you discard action cards, which could definitely, make it harder to do stuff as well. Pretty crazy. Alright, then we have just some rules for that. Instruct to increase or decrease wrath, move the tracker up and down. Same thing, can't go above or below 10. Never instruct to unleash wrath. Check your current level, applying the effects. Never bloodlust increased. In addition to applying the effects on the killer's board, such as increasing horror, reveal the killer dark power, you must also apply the effects, if any, on the Sacred Grove bloodlust track. Some item or cards will allow you to reduce it, but primary way is purchasing atonement cards. If the finale is triggered, take your Sacred Grove finale, place it on the finale card. During the killer's phase, action is complete, you must unleash and then increase it by 1. Neat, besides doing that. And then we have Sacred Spaces. Sacred Spaces are a new type of space in Sacred Grove. The Burial Ground, Sacred Shrine, and Holy Groves are considered sacred spaces. The more victims are located, the anger gods get may have a higher chance that wrath will increase. Cool. Yeah, it's just one that triggers. It's gonna, like, if they're standing in those spots, you kind of don't want your guys hanging out on those locations. Alright, let's take a look at our cards. We'll take a look at setup first. We have dueling tour guides. It's kind of neat. So you have them kind of like spaced out. Trying to decide who needs to go where. The Mabo tourists. Everyone's right in the middle at the just an empty area. I thought maybe it was a touring section. The Family Day. A little bit spread out everywhere. Worship service. Hanging out the holy groves over there. And then we have Swamp Thing. Yeah, very neat. I like that some guys start right in lots of guys start in them sacred areas. So that's going to make it, you have to get them over there. Then we have our events. We're going to start with Hallowed Ground, which we'll have a token for, of course. back will have all the symbols. Says, let's zoom up on this one a little bit. I don't put much stock in the supernatural, but even I can feel this place is different. Roll a die and place hollow ground token on the barrel shrine, sacred shrine, or holy groves. Anytime in action spaces, gain 2 time. That's cool. So basically, almost makes them worth your guys being on, but then it doesn't negate the other stuff, so it could definitely still hurt you as well. Unholy bloodshed. I guess the gods don't take kindly to tourists bleeding all over their sacred shrines. And anytime at least one victim is killed on a sacred spot, unleash the divine fury. Flash photography. Point that camera somewhere else, you paparazzi wannabe. Whenever at least one victim in space panics to discard 1 random action card. Oh, and it's random. The Uber Tourist. Hello, my name is Franz. No, I am not shouting. This is my normal voice. The victim farthest from the killer is now the Uber Tourist. Whenever the killer must choose a target, the Uber Tourist is chosen instead. If the Uber Tourist is saved, decrease wrath of either type by 4. If it is killed, increase divine wrath by 4. Belief play, discard this card. Loud and obnoxious. These tourists are so annoying that I might just kill them myself. Whenever wrath increases, increase it by an additional 1. The gods hate failure. Might as well add the gods to the list of people who think I'm a failure. Whenever you complete a fail a horror roll after conversions and rerolls, increase wrath by 1. The fire and brimstone. Apparently this place is extra sacred, so I better work extra hard to keep the riffraff away. Roll a die and place the fire and brimstone token, a little fiery ball there, on one of the 3 sacred areas. This is interesting. Usually, like, whenever they target these areas, they always target the item areas instead. Each victim in space counts as 2 victims when calculating increases. Oh, boy. That's nuts. Close for maintenance. Thank God 1 less sacred space for these jabronis to defile. So we have a little out of order sign. This card is revealed. You may discard all action cards except Atonement to close a sacred area. If you do, place the close token on a sacred area of your choice. Move any victims to adjacent spaces of your choice, evenly distributed. Victors may no longer move to the space for any reason, but you and all enemies may continue to move to and from these spaces as normal. Okay, cool. So it just shuts them out from accidentally running into them. That's kind of neat. The tour guide. If you look to your right, you'll see, oh my, that's horrifying. Perhaps you should take a different route. The victim close to you is a tour guide. Once per turn, whenever you move at least 1 space, you may move an additional space as long as the tour guide remains with you for your entire movement. The tour guide's killed, increase wrath by 6. And the Holy Man. What kind of insane pilgrimage is this dude on? The victim farthest from the killer is now the Holy Man. The Holy Man will not follow you. Every upkeep, the Holy Man 1 space towards the killer. When the Holy Man is in the same space as your killer, immediately remove from the board. If you are in his space, decrease wrath by 1. If you are not in his space, increase it by a total of 10. Oh, increase either one by a total of 10, your choice. You can either do 10 to 1 or 5 to 1, 5 to the other. Oh, man, that's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Alright, what kind of items do we have at the Sacred Grove? We have a war club. This club was just for display, but now it's time to put it to work. Whenever you inflict damage to the war club, choose a wrath, decrease it by the inflicted damage. So something like this is kind of neat, because it's a double-handed weapon. But it's like, it's only going to make sense, like, if you're like, I'm going to mix and match all the items, put all the items together and just randomly draw 12 item cards out. This one's, there's other cards that are going to be better than this, right? Or at least the same. But if you're not playing with either the killer or the location, this card wouldn't do any good. That's why you're always supposed to play it with a specific thing. We have the trash can lid. Excuse me while I take out the trash. Get it? 3 activations. Ignore a hit. The aluminum bat. I think I'll name you Mr. Head Smasher. Whenever you inflict damage to the killer with the aluminum bat, you may immediately discard a minor health power. including any remaining markers on the card. Pepper spray. This stuff is supposedly stop a bear in its tracks, so it should work like gangbusters on this breach show. The killer's in a space, you may discard to immediately end the killer's phase. Ignore the remaining movement, attacks, and other effects. Energy drink. Zoom, zoom, baby. Look at me go. Discards during the action phase to choose one. Gain 3 time or move 1 space. Mysterious pills. Dear God, please don't let this be a laxative. Oh, yeah, that would suck. Discard during the action phase to either move a horror or gain 2 health. The map. Nothing like the old map key from point A to point B. Discard during the active phase. Then for each item deck, do one of the following. Top card face up. Face down, turn it face up. If the top card face up, you may discard it from the game and turn the next card face up. First aid kit. I just need to stop the bleeding before I lose consciousness. Every time you use an action card, recover health, covering additional health. The Shaman Bones. Nothing like bones of a sacred dead dude. We need to peek into the future. Has 3 uses. Look at the next tarot card and either place it on the top or the bottom of the tarot deck. The Whip. Just call me Indiana. When you damage an enemy with the whip, you may move them 1 space. Cool. Pull them towards you, snap them away. Ceremonial Dagger. The gods always like a little bloodletting, so I better not disappoint them. Whenever you damage a killer, choose 1 wrath and decrease it by 1. The Air Horn. Perfect tool for hurting these thick-headed tourists. For a time, you may mimic, or you may pack all victims in your space and adjacent spaces. The Prayer Book. Maybe this dusty old book will finally get some attention from up there. 2 uses. When you play an atonement, gain +1 to your rolls. Oh, that's super helpful because you need that 3. Incense. Apparently gods like nice smelling smoke. Hey, whatever works. Whenever either wrath increased by 1 less for a minimum of 1. The old rifle. This thing hasn't been cleaned in a decade, but damn, it can still shoot 1 to 2 range. No damage. Old rifle can only work with a weak, modify a weak action attack action. You're in the sacred area +2 to maximum range. Interesting. So it's just basically taking your weak attack action and giving it range. That's kind of cool. Out of order signs. We have 2 of those. It's the last of our tokens. A little misdirection goes a long way. For time, place, or retrieving out of order token, a connection between your space and adjacent one. Victims will not pass through unless they're following you. Neat. So kind of like the one we can shut off the grove, you can do stuff to like drop signs to stop them from going a direction. So they might have to go all the way back around. That's neat. And then Tribal Mask. Why should the maniacs have all the fun with masks? Whenever you receive damage, choose 1 and decrease it by the amount of damage received. Neat. That's pretty fun too. Alright. Cool new items. Then we have our terror cards. No one will notice if I break off one of these pretty branches. Increase wrath by the number of victims in sacred spaces. Unleash wrath. Place 2 new victims in the holy groves, and all victims adjacent to the holy groves move there. Cool. Moves all the guys around. Let me just carve my initials right here. Increase victims, wrath by the victims. Unleash. Place 2 new victims in the sacred site. All victims adjacent to the shrine move there. And then we have, if I can climb up on top of that statue, I can get a killer selfie. So increase by the number of victims in sacred spaces. Unleash. Place 2 new victims in burial ground, and then all move to burial ground. So it's a 1 for each. Rage of the Gods. Play an event card. Increase wrath by the number of victims in sacred spaces. Place a killer at the sacred space with both victims or in your space if none remain, and then target and then double attack. The Tourist Trap. All victims adjacent to sacred spaces move there. Increase by the number of all spaces, and then they're going to target, move, and attack. So that's really neat. All these cards roll up to these sacred spaces. Fury of the God event. Increase by number of victims of sacred. Unleash, and then increase it again. Fickleness of the Gods. Place this card next to the Divine Wrath card. At the start of each upkeep, make a horror roll. 2 successes decrease Wrath by 1. 1 no effect, negative. Unleash Fury or Wrath. Increase it by 1 per victim at Sacred Spaces. You may spend 3 during the action phase to discard this card. And then the last one is Punishment of the Gods. Unleash, and then target, move, attack, and playing event. Cool. Get jump through the events a lot in this game. This particular set. Plus, we have a lot of the Divine Wrath you have to watch. We're now playing both. We have to then now manage your Wrath reductions. Because if you're only playing one, just the killer or just the location, then you're only managing the one. But now if you have to manage both with the same card, that's going to be a lot trickier. Yeah, this looks like a really fun set. Cool. Alright, then we have our 2 spoiler cards. So yeah, if you don't want to see what these are, I will say thank you right now for watching the video. Check out the other Final Girl unboxings. If you'd like to see some gameplay, I do gameplay videos. I started doing them over on my second channel. I will throw a link in the description for this. I've already hopefully have at least 1 or 2 Final Girl videos out when I post this. Yeah, otherwise hit me up in the comments if you guys would like to see or hear anything. This game, other games, let me know. Alright, then let's jump in and see what their special cards are. Alright, we get her back and shield. So the way these work is to incorporate in a game, simply shuffle them to deck of item cards and then draw them. If you want to make sure they're in there, deal a number of cards you need for that scenario. So if like you need 11 or 12 cards, deal with 11. Add this in to make that the 12th card. Then deal them to the 3 item decks. So you can either just shuffle into every single item card and then hope you get it, or you can force it. They're also supposed to be only used by that specific Final Girl. But again, your game, you may do whatever you like. So they're Bat and Shield. I will call this one Lamb and this one Bam. So this is combining both the shield and the baseball bat, or the aluminum bat, as opposed to just being a general upgrade. So it says, whenever you roll at least 1 star with a guard reaction card, do damage to the enemy that attacked you. Cool. Yeah, so usually they're just an upgrade of a card that's already in the game. There is no just sword and shield, but this is just letting you boost up your reaction abilities. Then we have Barbara's card, and she's going to get Barbara's rifle. Blowing this maniac's head off with old Becky should be a piece of cake, so 1 to 4 range and does 1 damage, but only has 4 uses. Barbara's rifle can only modify the weak attack action. So the other rifle we had didn't do any extra damage, but it just upped the range. This already has decent extra range, plus it does damage, but you can only use it 4 times. Versus the other one you could keep using over and over and over. So that's pretty cool. Alright, that is what we have for Final Girl, Slaughter and the Groves. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you guys later. Bye.